Greetings, humanities students. This is your instructor, Dr. Hernando, and this is our first lecture of Humanities 241, Introduction, Prehistory to the Birth of Civilization. As per your syllabus, the basic objective of this course is to give students a broad overview of, quote, the cultural development of human civilization from prehistory to circa 1500 as reflected in the literature, visual arts, architecture, and performing arts of the various periods, unquote. So what does that mean? In plain English, we're going to be talking about the history of human cultural developments from the beginning of recorded history through something called the Renaissance. No need to define that term now. But historians will tell you the Renaissance generally encompassed a broad period stretching from roughly the 14th through the 16th centuries. So about the 1300s through the 1500s. One of the things you'll discover about me is that I often like to start each new lecture unit by defining some of the basic terms that will be significant to that unit, so that when we use these terms, everyone is on the same page as to what they mean. With that in mind, here are four terms that I want you to be familiar with for this unit and also for this class in general. One of those terms is history. One of the weird things about the word history is that it really has two definitions. First, you can conceive of history as an object of study, in which case it can be either everything that people have said or done in the past, or better yet, the record of everything that people have said or done in the past. Second, you can conceive of history as an activity, the act of producing records, usually, but not always, written records about the past. Literally, this involves the act of researching, compiling facts, attempting to interpret or derive some meaning from those facts, and lastly, trying to communicate both the facts and the interpretation to someone else. There's also a special subcategory of history you need to be aware of that we call prehistory, which is the study of human history before the appearance of written records. This is primarily the domain of archaeologists, these people out there digging in the dirt, not like us civilized historians who work in libraries and archives. Um, culture. Culture is another one of those terms that has multiple possible definitions. Now, if you Google culture, you can probably very quickly come up with a list of a dozen or more possible definitions, all of them valid in particular contexts. For the purposes of this class, however, when we use the word culture, we're generally going to be referring to three possible definitions. First, culture has a technological definition. As your textbook puts it, it is the use of tools and or weapons to extend human control over nature and make our environment conform to our purposes. In other words, culture can be everything from a stone axe to an iron or steel plow to a Ford F-150. Second, culture has a collective definition. It is the characteristics or way of life of a particular group of people which finds expression in their social, religious, uh, or other customs, their language, their music, their art, cuisine, and other markers of group identity. In other words, uh, culture is what makes people from Italy Italian, or makes people from China Chinese, or what makes people from the United States American, if you prefer. Um, Third, culture has a historical definition. It's all of the things that characterize a particular group of people, their language, customs, habits, architecture, tools, religious beliefs, etc., during a particular period or stage of their social development. So, in other words, when we speak of the culture of medieval Europe, for example, we usually have in mind such things as knighthood, chivalry, feudal land tenure, social uh, relations, perhaps the Cathedral of Notre Dame, uh, and so on. It's a very different type of culture than the culture of modern Europe, in which case we might be talking about things like jet engines or um, you know, airports or the internet and so on. Lastly, we need to define the term civilization. Civilization, which is yet another one of those terms that has a broad array of possible meanings, two of which I will ask you to remember. First, like culture, the term civilization has a collective definition. That is to say, a civilization is the society, culture, or way of life of a particular area, country, or group of people. In other words, when we speak of American civilization, we usually have in mind such things as representative democracy, our tradition of free speech, or more mundane activities like watching baseball or hosting a 4th of July barbecue during the summer. Second, the term civilization also has a historical definition. It is the act or process by which a particular nation or group of people reaches an advanced stage of human social development, in which a high level of cultural, scientific, technological, or political development has been achieved. In other words, civilization is how human beings gradually move from sending messages by word of mouth or written letters to telephone calls, emails, and or text messages. That brings us to the second section of this lecture, prehistory. Now, I mentioned before the distinction between between history, usually which is usually in written form, and prehistory, which is human history before the development of writing, which most historians believed happened around 5,000 years ago, give or take. Whereas written history is usually the domain of historians, prehistory is generally the domain of certain newer academic disciplines related to history. These include paleontologists who study fossilized remains of early living creatures, anthropologists who study the evolution of human society and cultural practices, archaeologists who study human history through the excavation of ancient settlement sites and the analysis of artifacts that people leave behind, and lastly, ethnographers who study surviving pre-literate societies like, say, remote tribes living in the Amazon rainforest for clues about how other human societies have developed. These specialists generally divide prehistory up into two sub-periods, the Paleolithic period and the Neolithic period. First, we'll tackle the Paleolithic period, um, which most archaeologists and anthropologists and so on will tell you began sometime before 10,000 BCE. The first of uh, so obviously most of what happened during this period remains unknown to us. But some of the more significant events that we believe happened during the Paleolithic period include first, the use of tools. Archaeologists believe that around 500,000 years ago, early humans were using stone and bone tools like edge sharpened stone scrapers, choppers for cutting, stone tipped spears, hand axes, chisels, knives, and finally bows and arrows made with bone or stone points to extend control over their environment. This is significant because anthropologists have long considered tool making an essential prerequisite for the development of human culture. The second is the use of fire for warmth, uh, cooking, and also later for clearing brush and forest to make land available for habitation or agriculture. The earliest undisputed evidence of the use of fire by humans comes from an excavation site at Israel's Kesem Cave, dating back to around 300 to 400,000 years ago. But evidence from a dig in South America suggests it might have begun as early as 1 to 1.5 million years ago. So uh, both of those would place the use of fire squarely in the Paleolithic period. Um, Third is burial of human dead. Some scholars believe this began among Neanderthals as early as 100,000 years ago. Burial is considered an important marker because it distinguishes humans from other animals, and because it indicates an awareness of and respect for human mortality, and because it indicates the presence of religious beliefs, such as the belief in an afterlife. Is one of the reasons why people bury their dead is to help prepare them to live in the world beyond. Um, and finally, the fourth significant development that happens during the Paleolithic period is the development of art. Artistic depictions of human beings and animals start showing up as early as 40,000 to 10,000 years ago. Most prominent examples of this include the cave art found at such sites as the El Castillo cave in northwestern Spain or the Lascaux, Tasker, and Chauveau caves in southern France. Um, then you get to the Neolithic period. Um, so we get the Paleolithic period, and then we have the Neolithic period. Well, Neolithic period is generally held to have begun around the time that the Paleolithic period left off, so around 10,000 BCE, and continues to around 4,000 BCE-ish, or right up before the time that human beings figure out how to write stuff down. Uh, Around 10,000 BCE, the glaciers covered much of the northern hemisphere during the last great ice age began to recede. And this marked the beginning of the Neolithic period. Pivotal event of the Neolithic period was the development of agriculture. As the climate warmed and the glaciers disappeared, early humans found that they could plant grains, fruits, and vegetables in a particular location rather than gathering them in the wild. The development of agriculture allowed people to live closer to their food source, which also led to the development of permanent settlements and/or towns, which eventually grew in size and population and became connected with one another through relationships based on trade and mutual defense. Another signpost of the Neolithic culture was the creation of megaliths. The term megaliths literally means great stones. These were massive structures created using the post and lintel principle, in which two massive stones of roughly equal height are placed upright um, and serve as a resting area for the capstone or roof on top. These megaliths serve different purposes, but most probably some of them served a religious or ceremonial purpose, including as markers for burial sites or as gatherings for religious activities. The most famous example of this, of course, is Stonehenge in southern England.